practical class. Okay, so whenever later on when you come to your posting, gynae obs posting in the small groups, then you should request the teachers in our department to take the classes. Okay, take this class practically also, because they have to show you the instrument, and then they have to take the class for you. This is basically a practical class, but I'm just going to deal with the theory parts today. So what is instrumental delivery? The assisted vaginal delivery, it offers the option of procedure to accomplish safe vaginal delivery for mother and the obstetrician. And the overall incidence of instrumental delivery in the world is 10 to 20%. Though they say it's 10 to 20%, the incidence is decreasing day by day, because this is known as a dying art. Okay, people, they don't know how to apply the instrument these days, so the incidence is going down as the incidence of cesarean section is coming up. Instrumental delivery, it includes two types of delivery. One is forceps delivery, and second is vacuum or vent tube delivery. Okay, so vacuum, it is called in USA, it is called vacuum, and when you go to UK and all, it is called vent tubes. So basically, there are two types of instrument. One is forceps, and second is vacuum. Now coming to forceps delivery, this is how we apply the forceps. Okay, so now coming to indication of instrumentality, broadly, why we apply the instrument, whether we apply the forceps or we apply the vacuum, there are certain indication to use these things. Okay. So what are the maternal indication? If there is some problem in the mother, we apply the instruments and we expedite the delivery. So maternal indication is if there is prolonged second stage of labor, which is known as more than 2 hours in primigravida and more than 1 hour in multigravida. The second maternal indication is to cut short second stage of labor. So when do you want to shorten the second stage of labor? If a lady has some problem, if the lady has some medical disease, like if she has heart disease or some neurological disease where she cannot push, where the voluntary expulsive efforts are contraindicated or impossible, then we have to apply the instruments. And the third maternal indication is maternal exhaustion. Okay, if a lady is too tired, she's too tired, she cannot push. So to help her also, we can apply the instrument. That is called maternal distress or maternal exhaustion. In that case also, we can apply the instrument. Now coming to fetal indication, if there is some problem in the fetus also, then we can apply the instruments. Okay, in second stage of labor, if there is fetal distress. Basically, fetal distress is there in first stage of labor, then we have to go for cesarean section. But if there is fetal distress in second stage of labor, or if there is umbilical cord prolapse in second stage of labor, if abruptio in second stage of labor, then in these conditions we can apply the instrument and we can expedite the delivery. Also, forceps can be applied in after coming head of breech and in face presentation. Though vacuum cannot be applied, but forceps can be applied in breech and also in face presentation. Now you have known the indication, you should know the contraindication where you cannot apply the instruments. Okay. The main contraindication is if there is cephalopelvic disproportion. And if you think like that this baby cannot be delivered through this pelvis, then you should never apply the instrument. Second is when a certain fetal position like brow presentation, face presentation with men to posterior, there is no mechanism of labor in these presentations, so we should not be applying the instrument. Third one is dead fetus with post-mortem changes. Okay, fresh IUFT you can apply instrument, but if it is macerated, dead fetus with post-mortem changes, if liquefaction has already occurred, then in those cases you should not be applying instrument. And another thing is if you cannot accurately diagnose the position of the fetal head, or if you cannot apply the instrument properly. If you don't know how to apply the instrument, don't apply. And if you cannot diagnose the position of the fetal head, then you should not be applying the instrument. And also vacuum is contraindicated in prematurity. Okay, face and other non-vertex presentation. In case of premature baby, in case of face presentation, you should not be applying vacuum. Though we can apply forceps, we should not be applying vacuum. Now coming to prerequisite, if you have seen the patient she's having prolonged second stage of labor. Her labor is more than 2 hours in second stage. Now you said, okay, now I want to apply the instrument, and you have ruled out all the contraindication. There's no contraindication to not to apply the instrument. Then you have to know the prerequisite. What are the things that you have to fulfill before you apply the instruments? Okay. The foremost is cephalopelvic disproportion. It has to be ruled out. Okay. Head must be engaged, and biparietal engagement, you all know, biparietal diameter has passed through the pelvic inlet, and the leading bony point has reached the ischial spine. The head must be engaged. The position of the fetal head and attitude should be known. Cervix should be fully dilated. Bladder should be empty. Membranes should be ruptured, and should be having good contraction. If there is no contraction, and there is prolonged second stage of labor, the first thing you have to do is you have to start oxytocin and increase the contraction. Even if like she's having good uterine contraction and she's not pushing, then you can apply the instruments. Now, what is forceps? Basically, forceps is the obstetric instrument. It is a pair of instruments designed to assist extraction of the fetal head and thereby accomplishing the delivery of the fetus. Obstetric forceps is loosely grouped into two major categories. One is classical one, the Simpson, Tucker McLean, Wrigley's, and the special one, that is the Piper's and Killian forceps. The Killian forceps, these are not used these days. Basically, we use Wrigley's forceps or the outlet forceps. This is the picture of the forceps. Okay, this is a pair of instruments. So that's what I'm telling you. By showing you in the class, you won't be able to understand. Okay, so that's why whenever later you come for posting, you try to see the instruments in the labor room. Design of forceps, it's varies in size and shape. It consists of two branches, crossing branches, and each branch consists of blade, shank, lock, and handle. Okay, this is the pair of instrument, one handle. This is the blade, and this is the shank, this is the lock, and this is the handle. Okay, so each there are two branches, and each branch consists of these four parts. Blade is fenestrated to facilitate the good grip of the fetal head, makes the instrument lighter, and it has two curves, cephalic curve and the pelvic curve. Cephalic curve, it conforms to the shape of the fetal head. It should be wide enough to grasp the fetal head without compression. And pelvic curve, it corresponds more or less to the axis of the birth canal. The front of the forceps is concave side of the pelvic curve. Shank, the blades are connected with the handle by the shank. Okay, it increases the length of the instrument and it facilitates its locking outside the vulva. Shanks are either parallel or it is of the crossing type. Lock, it varies among different instruments. Common type consists of socket located on the shank at the junction with the handle on both branch. Sliding type of lock is seen in Killian forceps and allows the shank to move forward and backward independently. This sliding type of lock, Killian forceps nowadays we don't use, so you don't see. You just see the inner type of lock. Handles are opposed when the blades are locked. Okay, there is a finger guard on which the finger can be placed during the traction. Now, how do you identify the blade? I told you there are two branches, forceps. So which branch is of the right side, which branch is of the left side, that you have to identify before you apply the forceps. So how do you identify the right and left? When isolated, when you take only one part of the forceps, then the cephalic curve should be directed inward, pelvic curve is directed upward, and the tip should point upward. And when articulating, when you articulate the blade, then the blade corresponding to the left side of the maternal pelvis is the left blade, and that to the right side is the right blade. So how do you classify the forceps? Basically, this is like detail you don't need, but you have to know. It depends upon classification of the forceps, depends upon the two discriminators. Okay, one is the station of the head, and second is the rotation of the head. So depending upon that, we classify the forceps into outlet forceps, low forceps, mid forceps, and high forceps. Okay. So what is outlet forceps? Scalp is visible at introitus without separating the labia. Fetal skull has reached the pelvic floor. Sagittal suture is in the anterior posterior or right or left occipital anterior or posterior position. Fetal head is at or on the perineum, and rotation does not exceed 45 degrees. So this, if the if all these criteria are met, then that is the outlet forceps. Low forceps, the same thing, but they are not going to ask you in detail about all these things. You should just know the types of forceps. So one is outlet, second is low, third is mid forceps, and the last one is high. These high forceps and mid forceps, these are not used these days, okay? Because it's to forceps we cannot apply, because cesarean section is much more safer in this thing. We can only apply low forceps and the outlet forceps. Now, what are the function of forceps? Basically, traction is the most important function of forceps. We just apply the forceps over the fetal skull and then we pull it manually. Okay, so that's how we're going to deliver. Rotation of the head can be achieved with Killian forceps, but these forceps are not used nowadays. Provides protective cage for the head from pressure of the birth canal, as in case of premature baby. And one blade of the forceps can be used at vectis to assist delivery during the case of cesarean section. Commonly used forceps are low forceps and outlet forceps. Okay, now the procedure, I'm just going to give you the steps. I don't think it is possible to make you understand through this forum, but just know the steps. Okay, just know the steps how we apply the forceps, and you can see later on when we come for posting. Patient lies in dorsal or lithotomy position. Part is clean and draped, and full aseptic precaution is taken. Bladder is catheterized. Pudendal block for the perineal infiltration is done for anesthesia. Then you have to do an internal examination to assess the pelvis and to know the position and station of head. Identification of blades and ghost application outside the pelvis has to be done. Then episiotomy is given. Left blade is introduced by the left hand into the left side of the pelvis first. You always have to remember this, okay? Always we have to introduce the left blade first. You hold the left blade in the left hand and you apply this in the left side of the pelvis. Then the right blade is introduced by right hand into the right side of the pelvis. Then you lock it. Two or more fingers of the right hand are introduced inside the left side at the posterior portion of the vulva and into the vagina beside the fetal head. The handle of the left branch is then grasped between the thumb and the two fingers of the left hand, as in the pen holding manner. The tip of the blade is passed into the vagina between the fetal head and the palmar aspect of the finger of the right hand. Okay, basically, you put your right hand in the vagina just outside the fetal skull, hold the left blade with the left hand in the pen holding manner, and you introduce the blade in the left side of the pelvis with the guided by the right hand. So like this, okay? Your right hand is in the vagina and the left hand is holding the left blade and that has to be introduced inside the vagina. Now, again the same thing, the left hand is will be guiding and the right blade you have to hold in right hand and then you insert it into the pelvis. So we have applied both the blade. Now the one blade is here, another one is here. Then you have to try to lock it. Okay, the handle and branch is held almost vertically at first, and as the blade adapts itself to the fetal head, they are depressed eventually to horizontal position. The same thing which I was telling you. Application is checked for occiput anterior position. Appropriately applied blade are equidistant from the sagittal suture. Then you have to give traction. Ventral intermittent horizontal traction is exerted until the perineum bulges. Traction is given by gripping the handle, keeping the middle finger in between the shank, while the ring and the index finger are on either side of the finger guard. Direction of pull corresponds to the birth canal. The direction of the pull is downward and backward until the head comes to the perineum, horizontal till the head is crowned, and then upward and by extension. Okay, so this is how normally the baby, this is the direction how normally the baby is delivered. First of all, there is flexion followed by extension. Okay, so similarly, we have to pull the forceps the same way. And if it is the outlet forceps, then you don't have to pull it downward and backward because the head is already in the perineum. Okay, so the direction of the pull is horizontal. You have to pull it straight and then upward and outward forward. That is for the outlet forceps. Blades are then removed. Okay, the right blade is removed first, followed by the left one. So this is the direction of pull I was talking about. We have applied the forceps. If it is the low forceps, then your direction should be upward, then straight, sorry, downward, then straight, and then you go upward. If it is the outlet forceps, then the direction of pull is straight horizontal, and then you go up. Difficulties in forceps. Okay, what are the difficulties? There can be difficulty in application, difficulty in locking, and difficulty in traction. Whenever difficulty, whichever difficulty you face, then you have to identify the problem. You should not be doing it जबरदस्ती त गर्नु भएन. You should not be doing it anyhow. You should not be doing that. So always think of incompletely dilated cervix, unrotated head, improper insertion of the blade, or if there is entanglement of cord or fetal parts inside the blade, undiagnosed occipito-posterior position, faulty application, and wrong direction of traction. So you have to identify the difficulties. You have to identify what are the problems. Now, you should know what is prophylactic outlet forceps. If somebody asks you what is trial of forceps, then the trial of forceps is operator attempts delivery with the full knowledge that vaginal delivery may not be successful. Okay, the doctor who is applying the instrument is in doubt whether I can deliver this baby or not with the instrument. So what he or she does is keep the operating room fully equipped, everything ready for cesarean section, then you do a forceps. Okay, if you deliver well and good, fine. If you cannot deliver, then immediately you have to go for cesarean section and take out the baby. Failed forceps is when an attempt in vaginal delivery with forceps has failed to expedite the process. This is called failed forceps, and the causes are incompletely dilated cervix, CPD, unrotated occipito-posterior position, undiagnosed brow, or hydrocephalus. Now, coming to vacuum extraction or induced delivery, this is a second type of instrument. Instrumental device designed to assist delivery by creating a vacuum between it and the fetus scalp is called vacuum or ventouse. Suction creates an artificial caput or chignon within the cup that holds firmly and allows adequate traction. So this is the instrument. What we are doing is this is a vacuum, source of negative suction. We apply that in the fetal skull, give the negative suction, and there's formation of artificial caput over here. So when you pull the instrument, when you pull the vacuum, along with the vacuum, the fetal head also comes out. So this is the idea of applying the vacuum. So this is the artificial chignon, which is formed because of the vacuum cup. The instrument consists of a suction cup, either metallic or silicon, of various sizes 30, 40, 50, and 60 mm, vacuum pipe made of rubber, this vacuum pump, and traction chain in the metal cup. These are the metal cup, okay? This is the vacuum metal cup, and this is the traction chains. And this is the silicon one, silicon cup. Technique of procedure, similar to forceps, the prerequisite has to be fulfilled. I told you about the prerequisite. Patient lies in dorsal or lithotomy position. Part is cleaned and draped and full aseptic precaution is taken. Bladder is catheterized. Pudendal block in perineal infiltration is done for anesthesia. Internal examination is done to assess the pelvis and to know the position and station of head. Instrument is assembled and the vacuum is tested prior to application. And then we have to apply the vacuum in the fetal skull, and we have to apply it over the posterior fontanelle. Okay, so anterior fontanelle is open, posterior fontanelle is closed. So if you apply the vacuum towards the anterior fontanelle, then it is going to be a disaster. So we have to apply the cup over the sagittal suture towards the posterior fontanelle. So this is the anterior fontanelle and this is the posterior fontanelle. Okay, so you try to apply the cup towards the posterior fontanelle. The full circumference of the cup should be palpated both prior to as well as after the vacuum has been created and prior to traction to rule out entrapment of maternal soft tissue. Negative pressure is then applied up to 500 millimeter of mercury or zero point 0.6 kg per centimeter square, and traction should be intermittent and coordinated with maternal uterine contraction and at right angle to cup. The fingers of one hand are placed against the suction cup while the other hand grasps the handle of the instrument, and direction of the pull is similar as in forceps. Okay, so if the head is little high up, then we have the direction of pull is downward and then horizontal and then you go up. But once the head is in the perineum, then the direction of the pull is straight horizontal and then you have to go up. As soon as the head is delivered, vacuum should be released and cup is to be detached. Delivery is then completed in normal way. We're just assisting, okay? This is basically how you apply the vacuum. This is the vacuum cup. You apply it in the skull and this is the direction of pull. Now coming to complication of instrumental delivery, complication can happen to mother or they can happen to the baby. So it is divided into maternal and fetal complication. Immediate maternal complication is maternal injuries, and this is more common with forceps than with vacuum delivery, because the forceps you have to apply the instrument inside the pelvis. So there is need for episiotomy and extension of episiotomy externally leading to third or fourth degree perineal tear and internally upwards towards the vaginal vault. There can be chances of cervical laceration and tear and sometimes extending up to the lower uterine segment, and there is chances of vaginal laceration also. Second is postpartum hemorrhage, mainly due to maternal injuries. Traumatic postpartum hemorrhage can happen, and sometimes it is because of uterine atony also. There can be chances of postpartum metritis or puerperal sepsis. This is because of improper asepsis and presence of devitalized tissue. Late maternal complication is there can be chances of urinary and fecal incontinence, chronic low backache, tendency for genital organ prolapse. Fetal complication, it is more with vacuum than with forceps because the vacuum is directly applied in the fetal skull. So the chances of fetal injuries are more, okay? The immediate complications are scalp laceration and bruising and forceps mark over face, subgaleal hematoma, cyphal hematoma, intracranial hemorrhage, subconjunctival hemorrhage, retinal hemorrhage, clavicular injury, and shoulder dystocia. Nerve injuries like injury to 6th and 7th cranial nerves, herb palsy, brachial plexus injury, neonatal jaundice, and fetal death. These are all common with instruments. Now coming to advantages of vacuum over forceps. As I told you, there are two types of instruments. So vacuum, both have their own good points and bad points. Okay, so it can be vacuum can be used in non-rotated head and in occipital posterior position, which requires less technical skill. Okay, so you can even train the nurses. Not a space occupying device like forceps and can be used in small pelvis like our Asian pelvis. Causes less maternal genital tract injury and it can be used in high head of second train. Now, advantages of forceps over vacuum is it can be used safely in premature baby where you cannot apply vacuum. It can be used for delivery in face presentation with mentor anterior position and in aftercoming head of breech. It can quickly expedite delivery in cases of fetal distress. Instrument is very simple. You can carry it anywhere but you need to learn how to use it. It causes less fetal trauma. It causes more of maternal trauma, but less fetal trauma. Vacuum causes less maternal trauma, and there will be more fetal trauma. Okay? That's all for instrumental delivery. These are just the critical part. So whenever you come for posting, then you have to see the instrument on your own and just request the teacher, whoever is there, to teach you again in the posting. Okay. Okay, Abhinav.
Yes, ma'am.
सक्यो है क्लास चाहिँ बुझ्यो होला नि तिमीहरूले just try to है भोलि पर्सि पोस्टिङ आएपछि चाहिँ गर है आएर just try to see it in labor room, the instruments are there, and just